Ever wonder how a sickly teenager, written off by many, became the first and arguably greatest emperor of Rome? This isn't just a story of power, it's a tale of transformation, betrayal, and the forging of an empire that would last for 1,000 years. Our story begins not in a grand palace, but in a world of chaos and civil war. On September 23, 63 BC, a boy named Gaius Octavius was born into a respectable, but not particularly powerful, family. No one could have predicted his destiny. His life took a dramatic turn when his great-uncle, the most powerful man in Rome, Julius Caesar, was brutally assassinated on the Ides of March. 44 BC. Octavius, just 18 years old, was away studying when he heard the news. He also learned something that would change his life and the course of history forever. Caesar's will had been read, and he had posthumously adopted the young Octavius as his son and heir, renaming him Gaius Julius Caesar Imagine being 18. Your world turned upside down. The most famous man in the world, your great-uncle, is dead. And suddenly, you're his heir. But inheriting Caesar's name was more of a death sentence than a gift. Rome was a viper's nest of powerful generals and ambitious senators, all wanting a piece of the pie. Men like Mark Antony, Caesar's right-hand man, looked at this young, inexperienced boy and saw a pawn, not a player. They underestimated him, and that was their first and last mistake. Octavian returned to Rome, not with an army, but with an iron will and a brilliant mind. He knew he couldn't take on these giants alone. So, he did something clever. He used his inherited wealth, and, more importantly, Caesar's legendary name to win over the people and the legions. He formed a shaky alliance with his main rivals, Mark Antony and a general named Lepidus. This was the second triumvirate, formed in 43 BC, their first order of business, to hunt down and destroy Caesar's assassins. At the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC, they succeeded. The conspirators were defeated, and the republic they claimed to have saved died with them. With their common enemy gone, the alliance between Octavian and Antony began to crumble. The Roman world was split between them. Octavian took the west, and Antony, the glamorous and wealthy east. Antony also took something else, a new lover, the Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra. This relationship would set the stage for the final, epic confrontation. The tension simmered for years. In Rome, Octavian skillfully painted Antony as a puppet of a foreign queen, a man who had forgotten his Roman roots. The propaganda war was as fierce as any battle. The final clash came in 31 BC, at the naval battle of Actium. It was a decisive victory for Octavian. Antony and Cleopatra fled back to Egypt, and a year later in 30 BC, they both took their own lives as Octavian's forces closed in. At just 33 years old, Octavian was the undisputed master of the Roman world. The decades of civil war were finally over, but he knew the Roman people would never accept another king. So, in 27 BC, he masterfully staged what he called the restoration of the Republic. He went before the Senate and formally returned all his powers, claiming to have restored peace and tradition. In a show of gratitude, the Senate persuaded him to stay on and bestowed upon him a new title, a name that would echo through eternity. Augustus, it meant the revered or the majestic. The Republic was a republic in name only. The Roman Empire had begun. Augustus ruled for over 40 years, a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. He transformed Rome from a city of brick to a city of marble, building magnificent temples, aqueducts, and roads. He reformed the military, the government, and the tax system, creating a stable foundation that would allow the empire to thrive for centuries. He was a master builder, not just of buildings, but of a new age. But his personal life was marked by tragedy. He desperately needed an heir to secure his legacy, but he outlived his chosen successors, his nephew Marcellus, his close friend Agrippa, and his own grandsons, Gaius and Lucius. Finally, he had to adopt his stepson, the gloomy and reluctant Tiberius. On August 19, 14 AD, at the age of 75, the great Augustus lay on his deathbed. His last words to his friends were, "Have I played the part well? Then applaud as I exit." He had found Rome in chaos and left it in peace. The sickly boy who inherited a name had become the architect of an empire. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, please give this video a like and subscribe for more stories from history. See you next time.